Hi guys, Stefan here again, and this time we're going to be taking a look at Volume 1 of the Persona 4 manga. And this is awesome because before randomly stumbling upon this in the bookstore, I actually wasn't aware this particular series was coming out this past year in English. I think this was released last September, so just a few months ago. A great discovery. I'm really glad that we're finally getting some different stuff, mostly Persona, and I believe like Devil Survivor and stuff. We don't have a lot of the manga and light novels coming our way, but at least we're getting a few, and you know, if we're going to release any, Persona 4 is definitely the one they're going to release due to popularity. This was really fascinating because I was really curious with how much Persona 4 stuff is out there, how they're going to retell the same story in an interesting way. Because the story, the way it is told within the structure of the video game, is not the same and could not be quite the same as the presentation within the anime. Whether you're watching the one based off the PS2 game or you're playing Golden, watching the Persona 4 Golden anime, presenting the same story in different forms of media, in different formats, has to be done in a different way to really give a quality presentation. You know, reading a story versus watching a story versus playing through a story is going to be different. It's going to be, you know, the pacing is going to be a little bit different, and with something as long and as expansive and as varied as the Persona series, particularly looking at all the multitude of different pathways you can take, there's so many options for the player outside of just the main storyline of what little aspects of the story in the form of things like social links that you explore and examine, and there's no way to obviously include all of those in one telling of the tale. So it's interesting to see how the different portrayals of the story decide what aspects to leave out, what to put in, even perhaps to add some things that weren't in the original story to make it fit within a different format, and that's why I enjoyed watching the anime. And this, to me, though, was going to be the most fascinating just because of the usually the somewhat slow, almost meandering pace of the Persona series in the form of the day-to-day grind, in the form of daily life, when as things then ramp up with each cycle of the moon and different story events and things like that. Part of the draw is in the day-to-day life things, like you going to school, doing tests, finding books, reading books, going around town, talking to people, the different social links, and I wanted to see how that would be transformed into a manga. And just because of it's going to be really hard, I think, to get the pacing of the main plot across while adding a little bit of that slice of life stuff without just sort of dragging on. There's definitely a danger in this form versus the game or the anime of making things drag on and slowing down the pace too much to where it actually makes the main plot not quite as intriguing or exciting. You need to have a little more action. It needs to move at a little bit of a faster clip, I feel, to really bring things across. And how they're going to also deal with the, at the time, silent protagonist. I think, not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure the manga form in Japan came out before they started doing the anime. Correct me if I'm wrong, just from what I remember reading. But so it'll be interesting to see how this is done, and it's actually done really well. To start off with the art, of course. As you can see, it does a great job of capturing the art and the feel of the game. Everything is just done really well, and the story structure is great. I definitely give credit to the writer and everyone involved with creating the manga version of this story. They got the pacing down pat, it works well, it doesn't move too fast to where it feels like it's fast forwarding through everything, but it moves at fast enough pace that it really gets across the tension and the excitement. And I do agree with a lot of the choices that were made as far as how much of the day-to-day slice of life stuff is kept intact and how much is left out. And when you're presented with a choice, and there's not a ton as far as the very beginning of the story that this covers, there's going to be a lot more later on, and later volumes would be more interesting to see. But as far as what optional stuff was kept in, what pathways are taken versus what ones were not. So far I'm very impressed. Definitely a great job. A lot of great decisions were made. Really a great one to pick up if you are a fan of Persona. Definitely this is obviously a no-brainer, a must-buy. If you're not, and you're not someone who's really big into playing video games, this is another great way to experience a really great story and some fantastic characters. So really good so far. I'm really impressed, and I can't wait to get my hands on the rest.